Sussex recovered from a poor start to balance things up against LV County Championship title hopefuls Yorkshire on the first day of their game at the Brighton and Hove Jobs.com ground. Andrew Gale would have been happy to have won the toss and put Sussex in, the home side possibly still a little shell-shocked after their batting display last week in Durham, one which saw Durham move 14.5 points clear of Yorkshire at the top of the table with 3 games to go. But Chris Nash was soon putting back to ball, only for him to lose his partner Luke Wells with 24 runs on the board, the left-hander edging Jack Brooks to Adam Lyth on 10. Sussex's own title ambitions disappeared in the North East last week, but they will still want a strong finish to the season, and Nash and Michael Yardy won't have wanted to make life easy for Yorkshire, a side who could really do with a win from this contest to go into the last 2 games of the summer possibly on top of the championship table. After a good start, Nash was undone by a cracking delivery from Liam Plunkett, which moved and bounced off the surface to have the batsman caught behind for 35. And soon afterwards, Yardy dragged the ball from Plunkett back onto his stumps to lead the home side on 79 for 3, Yardy departing for 29. Ryan Sidebottom then got in on the act in the next over by somehow clipping Ed Joyce's leg bail, as he was out for 3 to put Yorkshire just where they wanted to be. Enter Rory Hamilton-Brown. There was nothing out of the ordinary about his first 8 runs, but he then, just before lunch, flicked Kane Williamson over mid-wicket for a 6. A shot he matched 3 balls later by driving the Kiwi over long on for another maximum. But then, next ball, the last before the break, he reached out for a flighty delivery and was bowled off the inside edge for 20 at 114 for 5. So it had been Yorkshire's session, and they now would have felt confident of getting through the rest of the Sussex order, one which included Matt Pryor, who now looked to develop a partnership with Ben Brown. They were able to add 23 runs for the 6th wicket, only for Pryor, a man in need of runs ahead of the tour to Australia, to be bowled by Stephen Patterson for 23. Sussex gave a championship debut to the 32-year-old Pakistani Ashar Zaidi, an all-rounder who's put in some strong performances of late in the second team. He produced a couple of classic shots off the bowling of Plunkett, but it was only a cameo from the man from Karachi who'd made 17 when he was LBW to Sidebottom, with a total now on 164 for 7. Yorkshire could hardly have asked for any more. Their title rivals Durham were watching the rain come down in Derby, and so the visitors here now had a real chance to make a statement. 3 more wickets and bowling points would have been bagged, and they could then concentrate on batting themselves well ahead. But instead they found Brown in a feisty mood, although he was dropped on 14 just after Ashar was out. At last, a partnership of meaning began to develop, with Steve McGoffin playing his role in it extremely well. The morning sunshine had long since gone from the south coast, and so the bowlers should have fancied their chances even more, yet the opposite turned out to be the case. Brown batted really well and deservedly reached a 50 from his 103rd delivery. From those, he struck 5 fours and by now taken his side well beyond 200, with his partnership with McGoffin continuing to grow. This was the 4th time that Brown had scored a half-century this summer, his highest score of 93 also coming against Yorkshire. In 26 overs, he'd added 74 runs with McGoffin, who, having got to 26, toe-ended a very wide ball from Sidebottom behind. It may have even been a wide had he left it alone. Williamson soon added the wicket of James Anyon, who was somewhat mystified to be bowled, leaving with his side on 254 for 9. The innings should have been ended when Brown missed a hit off Adil Rashid, but Johnny Bairstow inexplicably blew the chance of a stumping. And that meant that Yorkshire had still not got into bat by the day's end, an end which came 20 overs early because of the light. Brown was still seeing the ball well enough though, and by the time the umpires dragged the players off, even though spinners were being employed at both ends, he and last man Lewis Hatchett had advanced the total along to 276. By some distance, Brown had played the innings of the day, and he'll go again on the second morning on 78, needing Hatchett to stick it out for a while longer to get to 3 figures for the first time this year.